ドアが開いてるとかないよね。ニューコンテントナレさん、これは入っていいやつ？ナレさんさすがに入るぜ、こりゃ。新しいコンテンツなんでしょ？
New content? What does that mean? New content.
待って、これまた殺されない？怖い。ねえ、ナレさん。ナレさん。
And thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
これ今年追加された？
Critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022.
ほんまや、2022年。デラックスになったんや。
A reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new
あれ？じゃあマジでニューコンテンツなの？ちょっと待って、ニューコンテンツはそれさで困るんだけど、俺まだオールドコンテンツ終わってねえけど。
I'm very excited to see the thrilling
ちょっと待って、ナレさん？待って、俺もっとナレさん戻して、俺ちょっとニューコンテンツ？
Okay, so far it's an elevator.
本当にある？そもそも。
But I'm sure it's
本
just the
編とは
beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
は？
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh,
Oh,
there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
ウルトラデラックス。マジのニューコンテンツか。
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
本当にあるこれ。絶対ね。おい、ウルトラデラックス詐欺やん。なんや、ジャンプサイクルって。
All right, let's see.
ジャンプサークル。
The jump circle?
みんなすげえジャンプできるやん。楽しい。ウルトラデラックス半端ねえな、やっぱ。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
そうだよね、ナレーさん。俺も持ってたところだよ。
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
Yeah,
It's just
俺もそうなんだよ。
elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more.
まあ、今度こそじゃないこれは。お、ちょっとナレさん、ありますよ。なんか、新しい何かが。Thank you for enjoying the new content.
You've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable.
まだ X じゃない頃だ。
It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around
いや、と言いつつもあるパターンなんでしょ？これはドッキリで。
If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about?
いやいやいや、ナレさん大丈夫ですよ。
No gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
こっからありますわ。
What do you say, friend?
全然違いますよ。ナレさん。なんか、ニューコンテンツじゃないこれ。
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
何？ナレさん？
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content
Oh,
turned out to be?
what
Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take
なん
a
かス
look.
カイリムみたいなことしようとしてない？何これ？
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
すごい。反り立つたけし、サブスクありがとう。
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back
アワー
in
ド、
October of
賞
2013,
を
when the
飾
game
ってるわ、
originally
こいつら。
launched? Back then,
これがソフト
video
か。
games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
まあまあまあね。
Oh, the waste.
グッドタイム。まあまあまあ。ほんとなんか申し訳ないんだけどさ、まだ本編やってねえんだよ。全部。頼むから本編やらせてくんねえか？ニューコンテンツの方じゃなくて。全然やり尽くしてねえから感動できねえんだよ、こんなん。ただネタバレされてるだけやねん。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning
おい、なんか
triumph of
音
games
楽が。
journalism.
おい、なんだこの自己満空間開発者の。ふざけんな。
James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote,
おい、やめろ、早く出せ、こっ
"There are
か
so
ら。
many games that aspire to be more than games, end up less than any form of art.
自分たちのゲームがいかにすごかったか語り出しちまったよ。
to be every game ever created. Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created.
Skyrim,
It was
Persona.
Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all.
全
It
然
isn't
ゲー
even
ム
a
じゃ
Stanley
ない
Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
ニューエレベーターコンテント。ギャグすぎるやろ、これ。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com.
いいよ。
The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left
確かに
alone.
な、新コ
To
ンテン
spend
ツ
the
出
rest
す
of
と良く
time
ない時ある
collecting
からね。
dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
なんだよ、これ。
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor.
やばい
I
ぞ。
haven't looked at these in
とんでもねえのが来るかもしんねえぞ、これ、レビュー。
collecting down here. Surely these
批
reviews
判
were
的やつもあるよ。 おい、闇の扉開いて、やばい、バットマークついてるわ、これ。これ、だいぶやばいんちゃうか？ナレーさん、耐えれるか、おめえ。あ、グッドは消されてる。
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights. I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
これまずいね。こんなん追加コンテンツ用意する必要なかったやろ。聞いてるよ、これ。これ聞いちゃってます、ナレーさん。あー、まずいね、これ。
Okay, let's see what this one says.
見ない方がいいんちゃうか、これ。
Well, the idea for the game is good. For someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did.
正しくあるか。3.1 時間やってるもんな、こいつ。
What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remember.
そんなことないと思うよ。いい評価だって、ほら。
What's this one got to say?
10時間やってる、こいつ。
You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
ナレーさん、大丈夫だって。
Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
まずい。ナレさん相当怒ってるよ、これ。
And here it is. Go ahead. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of Well, there's sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go?
確かに。
Wasn't there a door that led into this room?
裏側じゃない？
I
ナレ
don't
さん。
feel quite certain that there was one here before.
スキップしなかったら本当に30分話してんのかな。いや、気になるところだね。
I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort.
あ、ちょっとうざくなってきたな。
Stanley, please don't push the button again.
12時間
hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone.
確かに。
I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those.
ストーリーを変えて出してくれよ、ドアを。
And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe. I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative
いや、わかるよ、
feedback.
気持ち
Why
は。
was it so important
俺
for
も
me
一応
to
配信
fix
者の
that
端くれやっ
problem?
てるから
Why
ね。
did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so
わ
much
かる
to
よ。
me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no
いや、わかるよ、この気持ち
idea
は。
who they are. What would it ever really
で、ちょっと
matter?
こっちが言い返すと怒るからな、いろんなやつが。おかしいよな。
that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and
あ、ちょっと
impulsive.
う
I
るさい
can't
わ。
help
ごめん
myself.
な。
Oh, Stanley, you're back. Oh my goodness, I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
1週
2
間
weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that
ナレー
it's
さん壊れちゃうか、これ。
exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've all... Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and
Whoa.
about everything we've been
何年
through.
経っ
I've
た
had so much
どんぐらい経ったんや
time. I stopped keeping
1
track
年後
after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you.
1年い
To
たの
begin with, there is only
マジで
regret.
全部聞いてたら
There
ど
is
んぐらい
only
喋っ
the
てたんだ
turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time.
これ
Stanley.
次そうなると
Days,
何倍ずつさ
I
れてん
lost
だ
it
これ
all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past.
何倍とかじゃねえ
And
のか
when
な
that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe
結局俺まだ
as the
ストーリー何も分かってないんだ
collapse
け
of
ど
every moment I have
え誰さん誰さん誰さんえ死んだ花も枯れてるってことはこれはもうナレーさんが死んだってことか。もう一回押すか。電池取り替えてくださいのとや。不快だから飛ばそう。え飛ばせない。
But they didn't understand the
Hey,
game was
Chita,
never meant
do you
to
know
be
that?
funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said,
ナレさん、俺
"Entertain
俺生き
us."
てるけ
It
ど。
wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review.
おい、
and
これ、
make
こ
all
れ
of
新
their
コンテンツ
pitiful
終わってる
demands.
って
But
この
then
ゲーム。
he's
何
talking
なん
too
だよ、こ
much, they
れ。
said. First, he didn't entertain us. Now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, "Oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it." And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to
スキッ
happen.
プされるであ
The
ろう
most
セリフ取って
immediate
るのおもろい
desires.
な。
Every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such
あれなんかこれ、行き来してるいろんな時間を、もしかしたら。なんか、一周回ってない ?10 年経ったら1年目戻るみたいな話で。また喋ってんちゃう
The end is never the end.
あ、やばいやばいやばいやばいやばい やばいよ、奈良さん !Never the ends, never the ends. やばいやばいやばい、奈良さん。奈良さん、扉がね、出てこないからね。僕も出たいんだけども。僕ももうこの追加コンテンツから出たいんだけど、出れないんよ。奈良さん ナレさんに会えると思ったのに。ナレさん？出れはしないな。建物が風化しちゃったよ。何百年経っとるん。何百年経ったらこうなる。うせやん。このボタンだけは風化しねえし。また壊れちゃったよ。嘘やん。なんか怪物の声みたいなしね。なんかやばい生物いるぞ、外。これホラーだよ。やばい、ついに。あれ、おい、スキップボタン導入しろってクッキーナインが言っただけでこんなことなっちまうのか、これ。いや、デレーターちゃうねん。やばいよ、こんな、やばい、これ、千空でも生きれねえよ、こんな空間。ついにエイリアン戦うオチ来るか？え？
All of his co-workers are gone. What could it mean?
戻れた。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
なんかやばい。やばい。End is never. The end is never. やばい。これ、ナレさん壊れたままや。
No matter how hard
おい、ま
Stanley
ず
looked,
い、こ
he
れ。
couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
おい、全然壊れたままじゃねえか。これどうなっちまうんだ、この角曲がったら。大丈夫か？インプットレシーブ。なんかちょっとずつ進んでんのか、あれ。ニューコンテンツの扉はまずい。誰さん大丈夫これ。
Oh, good. You noticed my sign.
やれる？
Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
奈良さんやれるこれ。またニューコンテンツかよ。ニューコンテンツ。あのくだりは全部飛ばされてるわ。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
おお、ついに?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
これスキップボタン導入してねえだろうな。いや、まあでも、すごいよ。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
フォント見覚えやんだよな、俺も。ちょっとなんか別ゲーで。ラスアースみたいになってない？ちょっと。これ大丈夫？なんかパクろうとしてないか、こいつら。
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical.
なんかありきたりなやつになろうとしてるこいつ。
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
おい絶対スキップ機能あるって。ごめんって。クッキーナに早く謝れよ。このゲームをプレイしてる人の名前を言うボタン。ちょっと待って、しょっぱくない？スキップボタンの1000倍しょっぱい。パラブル安心バケツ。バケツおい、やばい、これ。成長してるわ、ベイビー。あのベイビーも、今や、社会人ですか。ニューフューチャー。さあ、ボタン。プレイヤー、俺の名前言ってくれんのかこのボタン押したら。こんな書き
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
なるほど、ただパーフェクトボタン。ちょっとちっちゃすぎ。ちょうどいい。でかすぎ。また確かにな。これちょうどいいサイズだとは思ってたわ。攻略サイズ線 TB って呼ぶんかなちゃんと。本当に読めるこれ。お読みちゃんかなんか入れてんの
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you roleplay as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim, watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill!
Oh,
what a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
何これ何させられてん
Oh, it hits even harder the second time.
全人類ジム計画
If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the gym button. I'm too emotionally drained.
あ、結局ニューコンテンツってなんなんやこれ。返してくれ俺を家に。なんなんだよこれ。
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
なんなんだよこのゲームマジで。結局何も入れなくないこのゲームやって。このゲームの真相にもたどり着けねえし。ああ真相にもたどり着けなきゃ。ニューコンテンツにもたどり着けない。真相なんてねえんじゃねえ。実装されてるやん。
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's oh wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
いやこのゲーム人をちょくりやがって俺もクッキーナになっちまうぞ。フリーアチーブメントなんか実績が解除されるのかこれ。 ちょっと画面共有で、画面キャプチャーでやってみるか、実績が本当に解除さ
Now
れるのか。
here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever.
アチューメントもらえるのこれ。
The achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
何も入れねえぞ、このゲーム。実績すらくんねえのかよ。全部不完全やん。2ではそれを実装するっていう話？
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen
もう
yet?
いいよ、展示は。ノースクリーンショッツ。なんだ。スクショ撮っちゃいけないコーナーがあるぞ。Please ノースクリーンショップ。
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
うっせえ。選んであげた意味ねえじゃん。マジでムカつくわ。何このゲーム、本当に。おい、なんかグッズの。
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with.
ほんとムカつく、これ。
I've made my decision when
こんなムカつくゲーム初めてやった。なんなんだよ、この1時間。これは
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well,
43にはない。
I'm happy to say that after
Michael.
much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental
記念間
problem.
違ってねえわ。
It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass
あ、
that
ス
would
キッ
be?
プボタンくれ、スキップボタン。
Is the perfect solution.
スキップボタンくれ。
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be
もう
seeping
何
through
がお
your
もろいん、これ。
Can I say that I do believe the
これ。
bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person.
はい。
The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
なんか、2では一応、ちょっと待って、邪魔。おい、バケツ邪魔だよ。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
QR コード。スタンリーパラベラム2 Welcome to the official website of スタンリーパラベラム2どうせねえだろこんなん。なんかしょっぱいサイトに案内されたわ。絶対ないんよこんなん。こんな小ネタのためによくわかんないウェブサイト作ってらアホか。ここノースクリーンショットでさ、スクショボタン押したらどうなの？くそいらねえスクショが2枚増えただけだったわ。あとは、この上か。いや、エグジットあるやん。帰らせてくれ、マジで俺を。エグチちょっと行かせてくれ。やっとエグジット見つけた。
goodness. Stanley, this is fairly awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go to the collectibles exhibit. You see, there is a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves the collectibles. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the collectibles, okay? All right, I'll get out of your hair now.
どこやどこに行きゃいいんやこの上かこれかお前が見せたかったの。
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
おいやばい俺のワイプのとこ6分の1って書かれてたわ。じゃああと5個なんか手に入れんのこれ。ふざけんなよ。いらねえよ。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
あとはこの無限の穴ぐらいか言ってねえのは。地味によくはできてるな。無限の穴。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
マジでずっと起きしてんなこれ。これ勝負や。
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite.
おいやっぱり下あんのかこれ。
Is it a very, very deep hole?
いやなんかさっきの絵的に。
It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Oh.
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think it's just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
ああ、なんかこれあれか、会社理念みたいな優しいやつね。さすがにジオスか。
Great. Now,
あ
I'm
れ
very
なんか
excited
違うとこ
to
出た。
show you even more of my... Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much.
やべえ、バレた。
A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh.
What?
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing that... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to pass. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point.
おい、ジャンプ機能ないから、あとバケツじゃん、惑星しよう。おい
How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but it's death. I just can't see this scratching the itch.
出れねえよ。
Who am I to judge? You just do whatever it
G
is
をしても
you're
ダメ
going
や。
to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
え
Hmm.
聞かない。
Is the teleport button not working? You sure?
うん。
Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was
ダメ
working
や。
just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole.
ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って。ニューコンテンツはちょっと待って、待て、ナレさん。
With the hole, I get to do literally anything else.
ちょっと待って。
Take care, Stanley.
ジャンプボタンくれればいけるって。
Have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
アナエンドまあもしかして世界が滅びるまでまたいるここ俺に今度は逆張りしすぎた。何や神秘的な何かが起きてる。沈むぞこの床。結局ニューコンテンツなんてなかった。視点を変えるおい、スタンリーこんな見た目だったんか。オープニングはそれ出てたか。このバーン認識を変えるねえ、このゲームマジでクソやん。なんやこれ。あなたの現実を変える。え思わないって別におーい、ワンちゃん出てきたよ。何これ。あなた自身を変えるいや別にいいよ、変えなくていいよ何のゲームなんこれ。 おー、ナレさん
Stanley!
助けて
Oh,
あ、
good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of
よか
dozed
っ
off
た。マ
there.
ジでやばかったっすね、スタンリー、マジで。
But we can't have that, Stanley.
スタンリーじゃナレさ
Because
ん。
this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley.
もしかして、
I'll
も
be
う一回やら
back.
される
Toodlepip.
もしかしてまたやらされるんですかこれ。もうやめて。もう勘弁してください。悪かったよ。あ、終われる？やっと終われる？え？終われはしないの？
Here we are. Go on.
Eh?
Try out some of the new features.
あれじゃあ、逆にこれ、穴に入らないければいいのか？もう一回穴行く？もう一回穴入る？逆に。逆の逆で。マジでバケ、あれ？え？開いてない。どういうことや、これ。出口行けんちゃう？これ逆にもう。オールモストになってた、これ。モストリー。だいたい無限の穴になってるわ。ついに出口行けんちゃうこれ。だって出口が行くとこないぞ、多分。ほら。お、いけるマジで。やっと出れる。全部やったから出ていいってことだよね、これじゃあ。ノースクリーンショット。
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features?
いや、まあ最
Yes,
高
I
で
know
した。
it's not exactly clear yet
もう
how
最高だから
exactly
出して
these
くだ
features
さ
will
い。
come together as one single coherent video
もう
game,
早く
but
2やりたいで
I
す。
feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right?
まあまあ、この
Sort
で
of-
かさにな
Okay,
る
never
か。
mind. Hold on.
まあ
Let
ま
me
あ
do it
確かに
differently.
ね、あの穴に入りたくなっ
Okay,
て。
yes, this is much better. I feel
そう
good
だ
about
ね。
this.
まあまあ、あれじゃ物足りんか、さすがに2としては。
Who am I kidding,
まあまあ、
Stanley?
コレクションロー
This
ションだ
isn't a
って。
coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much
そこで
enjoy
飛ばすんだ。
creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new
おい、
features.
今やってることじゃねえか、これ。ふざけんな。
With respect.
おい、おい、今やってることだろ、これ。ふざけんな、マジで。
Possibly work? I suppose
もうやっとんねん、そ
it
れ。
need a really, really tremendous title screen. A
おい、
title
それ
screen
やら
that says with bold and uncompromising
いや、わからん。それは違うかもしん
This
ねえ。
is the Stanley Parable
マジで
2.
うぜえ、こいつら。
Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
あ、スタンリーパラブルム2来た。おお。すげえ。あ、ジャンプボタンもついてるわ。インタラクトもオートウォーク。行ってみるか。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big...
なんか風船追加されてる。
All of his co-workers were
例の風船追加されてるぞ。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
スキップ機能も追加されてるし。あれなんかここにこんなんなかったけどな。バケツまさかこれ。
Stanley picked up the bucket.
いらねえ。おかせてくれこれ。拾っちまってインタラクトボタン。あれジャンプボタンでもジャンプできねえぞ。ニューコンテンツの部屋がなくなってる。
Stanley clutched the bucket.
ケツを胸に強く抱き。
entered the door on his
まあ
left.
まあまあまあまあ。これちょっとニュー
This
コンテン
was
ツの
not
方行って
the
みる
right
か。
way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him,
はい。
telling him that the employee lounge
オ
was
ートー
simply
ク
the
じゃない
place
ね。
to be.
なんかあったっけ他に。インタラクト追加しゃがむオートーク。
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
じゃあニューコンテ
Stanley
ンツ
took
が
the
行ってみ
door
よ
on
う。
his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did
これ
not
何個
question
用
why
意され
or
てんだ
how
ろう
this
な。
bucket was speaking to him.
バケ
It
ツ
should
持
have
っただけ
alarmed
で
him,
全
of
部
course,
変わっち
because
まった
buckets
よ。
can't talk.
ほ
But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the
ナレーション
bucket
変わんね
had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point."
ほんまや。
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring
じゃ
the
ちょっと
bucket
捨てたいよ。
unless... What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
ほなら捨てたいよ
I
ね
suppose。that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your
あ
understanding of
ー
what
マジでこのゲーム何も変わってないやん。
Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a...
もう無理このゲーム。もういいです。もう勘弁してください。もういいです。もう疲れちゃったよ、あれ。もうなんだよ、このゲーム。もういいです、俺。あのゲームは。もう寝たいです、一回。格ゲー人狼より前に。